Evening, everybody, and welcome to Just a Little Bit, a D&D live cast with a LGBTQ plus cast. Tonight you'll be joining us for episode 10, The Lettered Halls of Naramsin. As we rejoin our party, they find themselves having just entered the Athenaeum of Naramsin, an ancient ardent scale wizard, famed for teaching some of the greatest arcanists of his time. That was long before our current time, though, when the ardent scale once ruled the lands of the vast canon, which have now been turned into a bountiful rainforest. And as a result, they have fled, leaving behind their homes and heading to a new home. And many of the ancient buildings of power and wizards' towers that they once claimed have been left to ruin. The party now delves into Naramsin's halls to discover what has happened. And so we begin. The gentle light of day streams down through a canopy of overgrown trees and vines as small globes of light circle and dance between stone stalactites that hover above. The air is filled with the gentle crash of falling water and birdsong as the statue at the center of the cave pours water into a glistening pond at the room's center. The statue's passive stone eyes stare unblinking down at the party in contemplation. And behind them looms a large stone portal, sealed but painted with an elaborate map dotted with small shining towers and a massive plateau at its heart, a map of the lost vast canon. And that's where we join our party, standing inside of the entryway of the Athenaeum of Naramsin. What would you like to do?
So it's like we came out of the vent, and then the vent is like part of this mural, and then there's jungle all around us.
So you came out of the large pond that's in the center with the waterfall falling onto it. You swam up from the bottom, or climbed up from the bottom using the orb that repelled water. So you were able to climb up and out of the pond, and then once you deactivated the orb, everything continued back to normal. So you're standing right in the center. There's this large pond. You're standing next to it. There is like overgrown jungle all around you, like basically a garden turned to jungle. There's all these lights above you, sort of floating and bobbing in between a bunch of stalactites from the natural cave roof, and then the statue.
And How long do those shrooms give me dark vision for?
Just an hour.
Okay, I won't use them then.
You want to save the shrooms for the right time?
No, I
would like. Sorry.
All good. Go ahead.
Okay, I would like to burn a divine sense to know if anything is affected by the hallow spell, or if there's any celestial, fiend, or undead.
Okay.
Celestial.
So, what's the range for that? No worries. And anyone else want to do anything while Thorn is using the divine
Within
sense?
60 feet.
60 feet?
And it's celestial, fiend, and undead.
Yeah, so you reach deep within yourself to where like the core of paladin energy that burns within you, and after a moment you feel as though like another set of eyes open, and you can sense sort of the spiritual vibrations around you. The whole place has this faint aura of like, it feels pleasant to your supernatural senses, but you don't sense anything that is fey, fiend, or undead.
Not even Twid's doll?
Not even Twid's doll.
Was worth a shot. Okay.
Hey, I mean, it's a fair question. You have some unanswered questions about Twid. No, nothing detects as any of those things as you sort of take a moment to like scan around you.
I assume Calvin might be our kind of lead investigator. Would Calvin like a hit of enhanceability? It lasts for an hour, so...
So that would give me, what, like advantage on checks?
Advantage on, yeah, whatever checks. I'm thinking intelligence checks, but...
I mean, I assume my
I'm
investigation
thinking we might need
in the party, but that's...
I mean, that's up to you if you want to use your powers to give advantage.
Chase, I'm having a very hard time hearing you. Just a heads up, like you're real quiet.
So Yeah. I'm proposing that I use enhanceability for Calvin. So Flip is gonna draw a Taroka card and kind of walk over to Calvin and explain that he should touch this one spot and it'll like glow, and you get advantage on intelligence checks for the next hour while I concentrate.
So I was gonna say, for the next hour, you're now under the effects of enhanceability for your intelligence checks specifically. It's just checks, not saves, but all of your checks will still get benefit for that.
Sounds good.
Excellent. All right. And anyone else want to do anything else in the room? So you're all, like I said, standing there, sort of like on the lip of the pond.
Sorry.
I was gonna say I wanted to go look at the map that you said was on the wall.
Absolutely. So there's kind of like a path that cuts through the jungle, basically the overgrown gardens around you. And with it, you can see that there's a large stone portal. And on the back of it is painted this elaborate map. And you would guess it's probably a good 20 by 20 feet. And so walking up to it, as you look up, you can see that it's definitely stylized as though it's a desert. And all across it are little picked out what you think to be our settlements, and in some instances painted silver, so it's glittering silver towers. And at the very heart of this desert is a large plateau that is depicted with a huge, elaborately drawn city on it, all across the plateau. And as you're looking at the map, if you wanted to try to compare the map to what you would know, it would be a history check. To just think about what does it elicit for you?
I got a 15.
15? Okay, yeah. Because the big thing for everyone who's looking at it is there is script on it, writing on it, but it's not in a language that any of you know. With the 15, you take a moment to sort of look up at the wall and you think about sort of what it's depicting, and that leads you to believe that it is indeed a map of Vascannon, the previous home of the Ardent Scales that was destroyed during the flowering season. You can kind of match it up in your mind, and you know that now, because of the magic that was used against it, the magic of the flowering season, this whole desert has been transformed into a Pacific Northwest Seattle rainforest. So coniferous forest, but constantly wet, always cold, always chilly.
Was anyone else expecting a jungle inside of this temple?
It seems that whatever was left behind, if we recall from the vision, there were gardens, has continued to thrive. If we are concerned, I can scout ahead and see if I can find a path or any signs of life.
I mean, I'm fine wandering with you. I can be very quiet.
Just what Thorn wants. Twin following them around everywhere.
Twin will watch your back, no problem.
I mean,
perhaps it is best not to go alone.
So now that I have advantage to check for traps, I can go first.
Yes, and do not take this the wrong way, Calvin. If there is anything hiding in there, they will know you are coming.
Yeah, but we went over this the last time you went first, that you kind of think that you're the tank, but you're not the tank.
That's not my concern here.
The shade.
Also, this place has been buried for how long was the blooming go? 600 million.
Blooming season was about 500 years ago, and Aramir led you to believe that it was this was closed. This school was closed even before the blooming season.
See, so if
Thorn answers 532 and a half years, but this was abandoned before that.
So if there's anything down here that's alive, it's probably pretty close to being dead.
If you say so.
I will go forward with Pork Roll and have Pork Roll do some perceptioning and me some investigating.
Yeah, if you want to roll for me the perception and investigation checks.
So Pork Roll gets a 21 perception. And Pork Roll does have dark vision.
Okay. Well, the room is it's fairly well lit because of all of the glowing lights above. They're almost casting like a very daylight effect down on this.
And I get a 10 investigation.
So with your 10 investigation, you spend some time looking at the plants and looking sort of into the undergrowth. And you're surprised at how thick the vegetation is. Like you take a quick moment to like examine it all, and you can see that there used to be paths probably leading into different ways into all of it that have become overgrown over time. With the 21, though, what Pork Roll notices and conveys to you is that where the large statue is, as you get closer, you can see there's an alcove, essentially, right next to where the leg is, and there is a pedestal with what looks to be a book open on it, sitting just below the statue.
I suppose we'll go up to said statue.
So as you kind of cross around the side of the pool, and luckily there's like a tiled walkway that lets you get anywhere you want to around the pool. You come up on this like nicely carved stone like pedestal essentially. And set on it is a book. As you get closer, you realize that the book is also made out of stone. Someone has finally carved it so you can even see like individual pages on the side of the book. And right in the center, you can see there's a single glowing glyph.
Said glyph is ... I know.
I will say if you want to give me an Arcana check.
$21.
So the 21, you spend a little time looking at it, and you sort of put through your mind like what you think something like this could be, and you're especially thinking about the fact that like this spell has to be fairly old if it's in here and no one else has been in here this entire time. You think it might be an activation rune of some sort.
Do we think, I mean, if they have a big mural of kind of the main ardent scale home city, is it some sort of like transportation rune? Does it like activate a transport?
I think it... I mean, I might be wrong, but wouldn't it just be like an activation rune, like it's lit up, so whatever spell it detects of is active?
No, what you're thinking looking at the rune is that it's basically like an on button waiting for you to... It's a glowing button waiting for you to push it. Yeah.
I just gotta smack it. Calvin already hit it.
Okay. So Calvin, your hand presses against the stone, and as it does, you feel this warm tingle of electricity sort of skitter across your palm. And as you do, for a second you hear nothing, and then there's a loud like a popping sound, and you can see out of the corner of your eye something sort of wavers into form, like a pillar of light right over the water in the fountain. And after a moment, it settles into a faint image that starts to slowly coalesce. And as it does, you hear, "Welcome, hopeful arcanists, to my hall. You've come far to learn the secrets of the arcane, but your challenges are far from complete."
Someone wheels around with a sword. Like, what the fuck?
And after a moment, you see about like 8 feet tall is an image that's familiar to you because you've seen it you saw it about an hour ago before now. It is a depiction of Naramsin in this translucent, like almost basically hologram, magical hologram. And as the image sort of floats, for a second, you can see it looks at each of the members of the party who are kind of around this. It looks, Flip, Valen, Thorn. It sees Twid and stops for a second. And like tilts its head just a little bit, then stops and turns finally to you, Calvin, and Pork Roll. And it gives a little like quirk of its eyebrow as it sees you. "You have come for knowledge, and the challenges before you shall be your very first lesson. You and your vanguard must weather my trial to prove you are ready to learn what I must offer. May logic and reason gift you with wisdom and insight. And if not, know that at any time you may leave your vanguard behind, or you yourself may leave my halls. And in the distance, you hear like a of stone grinding on stone, and a loud like clunk, and the image disappears.
Oh, it's one of those wizards.
Your vanguard. And then, who speaks Ashahai?
Calvin and Pork.
Calvin does, but I don't know
Wait,
that
you don't
Calvin
know
does.
that?
Valen, do you speak it?
I think I've like probably picked up a couple words from you, but I don't speak it fluently.
Thorn quietly but forcefully in Ashahai, not understanding that Calvin can understand them, goes, fucking wizards and their fucking egos.
I mean,
I'll just
Probably
I just
understand
turned
the
to
word
you
fuck.
and I'm like, yeah, I was like, is everything good, Thorn? Because I like, yeah, I was like, I can pick out the curse words.
I am fine. Why would you suspect otherwise? Come, we have a game.
I look at the rest of the group and I do like a small little no.
Calvin, we are only your vanguard, it seems. What should we do?
Well, like, it said I'm supposed to leave you here, so I guess you wait here. And Calvin's gonna start walking, like, in the direction of the doorway that opened up.
I will say that you know that it said you're welcome to take your vanguard with you, but at any time during the challenge, you may leave them behind or yourself leave.
Yeah, Flip is gonna rush after you and be like, "Oh no, 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 no! He
If
said
we're
you
stuck
could
in a death
ditch
trap,
us
you can leave us for
if
dead."
you're an asshole, but we are together on this," and is gonna follow right behind.
Twid will follow
In this
as well.
situation, the best way out is through.
That's what she said.
Exactly.
And I will decide. I will say that the sound of the stone that you heard, with your passive perception, seems like it was coming towards the back of the chamber through some of the heavy undergrowth.
I guess Calvin's leading the way.
Okay, so you push into the undergrowth, and it's actually not that bad because with your previous roll, you sort of did pick out what used to be a trail. And after a bit of pushing and fighting, you realize that like the stones underneath you are still there. They just had some grass and stuff grow up through them. But it means that the going here is much smoother. So you very much that like old adventure movie, like push your way through all of the undergrowth. And after about 5 minutes, you manage to push yourself to where you see the stone wall at the back of the chamber has reached down to meet the floor. As you push through the last little bit, a large clump of banana sort of like swaying above your head as you like, kind of kick out of the last piece. You see before you a large stone archway, and the archway is carved to look like a serpent coming up to clasp its own tail.
Can I make an acrobatics check to like parkour off the tree and grab a banana?
Absolutely. Give me an acrobatics check. This is the first roll of the night, so the first roll for Thorn tonight, I should say. So we'll know if your dice are hot or not.
I was going to say, you can continue. You can say this is the first roll of the night, so you can have advantage.
No. But thanks for trying.
12.
12. Okay, with the 12, it's not the most graceful jump you've ever made because you kind of forgot that you're wearing your heavy armor. So you go to jump, and when you do, you hear this like sound as the part of the banana tree just cracks and like tilts to one side. You do grab a banana, but several other come falling down. So for a second, it's just pop, 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 like a small rain of bananas. But you have one in your hand.
Thorn is fighting the urge not to just curb stomp the tree. I am fine. And then Thorn is going to rage eat a banana.
Okay, so you start to rage eat a banana. Like I said, facing you is the carved archway with the serpent's head sort of chewing on its own tail. In particular, I will say you notice that it's not just any serpent. It looks to be like a dragon serpent.
Flip is gonna walk up and grab a banana off the ground and start munching on it and see if I can recall anything about that particular symbol of the snake dragon eating its own tail. If that's like,
I would say, yeah, if you want to give me a history or religion check, that can give you potentially some information. And I will say, right where the mouth is kind of open, so that the tail is like almost in the mouth, you can see that there's carved in between the tail and the mouth it's some script that none of you can read.
Can I make a history as well?
Yes, anybody who sees this can make a history or religion check. It's for some of your backgrounds, it's going to be a little bit harder,
16.
but anyone can make it. 16, okay.
Esmeralda has been rolling good.
Flip got a 19 on history.
19. Okay, so I will say both of you actually, luckily enough, looking at it, you, Thorn, because of your obsession with the ardent scales, and you, Flip, just because of your education. This is not an uncommon depiction of Sarkhanus. He is known as like the serpent of logic and reason. He's the god of the ardent scales and their creator. He's often depicted as a serpent trying to eat his own tail because he is constantly in a state of wanting to learn more. Like his curiosity essentially devours him. And so he's known to disappear for years while doing his research.
Curiosity killed the dragon snake.
Essentially, yeah, but he is known as the serpent of logic and reason. He's their founder.
Satisfaction brought him.
And so it's different. So there's the Ouroboros symbol that we have in like Norse mythology, where it's the serpent actually eating its tail. Sarkhanus is always depicted like trying to eat his tail, but never can, because he's never satisfied by his own curiosity.
Calvin's gonna look at everybody and be like, do we have a few minutes? We keep running into this text, and I can't read it, and I don't think you can read it.
I know that it is this language of the scales, but anything else is beyond me.
I might be able to help. I picked up a few things from the summer court back in the day. Can I reach where the thing is?
What's it say?
It's a little bit tall for you because it's about 8
What
feet
if I
tall.
pick
You'd have
them
to
up
get
and give them a boost?
With the prop,
Thorn,
you can
boost
see.
me.
I'll put Valen on my shoulders.
I will touch it then and cast comprehend languages.
Well, you comprehend language on yourself or somebody, like a target. Yeah,
but I have to touch the thing to be able to read
Oh, yeah,
it.
to
so.
touch it.
Valen
so
just wanted a piggyback ride.
You touch it,
Yeah.
and you feel the spell sort of change your perception. And for a second, as you're looking at the script, it is in this language you don't recognize, and then there's almost this like fuzz and haze, and then it snaps into place, and you're suddenly reading Loming, the language that you are familiar with. And it's weird because like you can see it like shimmer in your eyes, and 1 minute it's this language, and the other minute it's Loming. And as you read through it, it simply says, trying to find it. What can be swallowed but can also swallow you?
But
Flip. Problem solved. Let's go home.
I mean, I didn't realize it was that easy.
I will read that. I will, like, as I'm reading it, like, say it out loud to the group.
As
Twid
I
has-
said, Flip, we have solved the riddle.
Twid has been like putting their hands on Thorn, trying to help Thorn stay up while they're holding up Valen.
I appreciate the assistance, Twiddlemop, but I would rather not be touched. Besides, I do not think you are doing much.
Twid's hands slowly float away.
There's a place for an answer.
No. So what you can see is there's the archway, there's the letters, and then there's the doors. The doors themselves are, one of them's cracked, so it's open now.
So this was more of a like welcome mat.
Yes, this is not the trial. This is ornamentation.
Or it could be a warning of what's to come. Like a hint?
Maybe he just wanted to make sure you can read before you get in the first door.
That seems like a really low bar to set for a wizard school.
For a wizard with that ego, that is not the purpose of this.
To be fair, none of us could read it.
You
None
do
of us
know
are
that
in scale.
Yeah, I was going to say it. I will say, with having seen it a couple of times now in your adventures, you recognize the alphabet. The Arden Scale alphabet, if to have like a real analog, is like cuneiform. So it's very clear, like markings and things like that would let you know that like that's the alphabet that they use.
I mean, I guess we should just carry on then, and
The door is
maybe
open.
we'll find
After
we'll
you,
find more
Calvin.
riddles.
Yeah, through the door. Let's go.
Right. So you push through the door, and the stone doors, surprisingly for how like large and sturdy they look, push open easily for you. And as you push through, where before the light above you is sort of like this soft daylight, the light in this other room is like this bright, warm firelight. And you can see that there's sconces on the wall that are lit into fire, like small torches that kind of float there. And as you look more closely, though, you realize that they are basically like a bowl coming out of the wall with a fire floating there, but the fire is not inside the bowl; it's simply floating above it. And it's all the way down this basically 20-foot wide, probably like 40-foot long hallway. And every 5 feet or so along the outside, you can see that there's little alcoves carved into the wall with knickknacks and like little, like basically small statues and other like bric-a-brac all the way down. And at the very end, you can see that there is more sithin carved on the wall and this large vessel, essentially like a kylix, like those ancient Greek like wine vessels, is sitting there just below it on a large shelf.
Are any of like the knick-knack statue things, are they like humanoid figures, any of them?
Yeah, so several of the things that you can see are statues. In particular, they're busts, and they're busts of various ardent scale faces. You can see that in all of them are in silhouette to you as they are busts sort of lining it, and they are gilt, so like they are solidly golden in color and sparkling in the light. And you can even see that several of them, the eyes are gemstones or other semi-precious stones, and they all have this sort of like slightly ostentatious ornamentational look to them.
Barnaby
Mr. B
has
is
strong
very excited.
opinions. He has very strong opinions about these gold, gaudy statues.
Yes, Barnaby, I agree. This was a great waste of resources, but the Arden Scale were never one to shy away from ornamentation.
And I will say, as you're looking down this hallway, like I said, you can see a couple of them are statues, but you can also see a couple of them are, one looks to be a scroll that's wrapped up, sort of sitting there. Another looks to be a small platform that has little pins in it, but from here you can't see like what they are. But there seem to be little bits of like metallic pins sitting all along one side of the wall.
Oh, he is big mad.
He is heated. There's a dog outside, so I'm gonna mute if you just give.
How dare another dog walk near his house? First of all, the level of disrespect.
And they didn't pay the chicken taxes either, like in his kingdom.
How very dare they?
The disrespect.
I mean, to be fair, he is our barbarian member of the party, so
Rogue barbarian, multi-class.
It's why we don't have a rogue or a barbarian. We have Barnaby.
I don't think he would ever get sneak attack, though. Let's be honest.
No, he would never get sneak. I mean, he would get sneak attack for flanking, not for sneaking up on somebody.
He stole your wallet that one time.
He stole your
That's
wallet
true.
that one
He
time.
did
He's
steal my
stolen your
wallet.
wallet more than once.
I will say, okay, so back to the game. You step into this hallway and you can see that there are these alcoves sort of regularly all the way down, and like I said, the kylix at the very end. So this large, shallow, essentially like clay bowl. And along the outside, you can see there seems to be like some kind of gilt around the outside. You can't see from here since it's about 40 feet away what's on the side of the bowl.
I'm definitely interested in this bowl. I want
And
to
does
go
the
see if there's
hallway
writing on
end? Or like, is there a way forward, or is there no clear?
There's no clear way forward as you just see the bowl at the end and then the writing above it.
I want to take advantage of having comprehend languages, so I'm making a beeline for
Okay.
to read.
So you get to the very end of it, the hallway, and as you step in front of the thing, you can see that the platform that it's set on, very nicely made. There's carving sort of all along the bottom and the sides. the whole chamber feels very nice. The floor beneath you is these beautiful tiles that have basically been like fired with all the color in them. And so they look almost like you are following like this very branching organic pathway of the tiles in these bright like terracotta like greens and blues. So the whole room has this sort of opulent, like well-decorated feel to it as you're passing by all of the different busts. You get to the very end. It is there. As you look at the side, you can see that the side is all carved with what look to be, opulence. You earn everything. As you get to the end and stand before it, you can see all along the outside of it is carved what look to be like scenes of victory.
Oh, that's a shame because they didn't win a lot of things recently.
And just above it, in the writing that you see carved on the wall is it says, "With what will you fill this vessel?"
With
And you
what?
said along. Sorry.
With what will you fill this vessel?
And so in the alcoves along the wall, we saw a wine urn, a scroll, those statues, and then what was the other thing? Like pins or
Like medals, essentially.
Flip is gonna start just looking at some of the busts and seeing if off chance I recognize something, or like if they have nameplates, or like, you know, if they have like any ornamentation that would give any information about them.
Absolutely. So if you want to do an investigation check for me just as you walk in.
can I go take a look at the scroll, see if it like is it carved or is it real? Like does it open? All that
Yeah.
jazz.
So as you go over to the scroll as you go to pick it up does indeed open. And as soon as you pick it up and sort of open it up for a moment, you hear in the back of your mind, a voice, almost like a recording playing. And it just says, "Father, I write to you to inform you that I have been accepted into the Serenity Keepers. It was with great excitement that I wish to share this news with you, as my education and standing have proven a valuable asset. With great fondness, your son."
That's creepy.
And I will say, everyone else in the room can hear this. But it just feels. It essentially feels as though someone's talking like right back here.
Flip also got a 14 checking out the bus, and I will say I'm being like careful not to like knock one over and trip an Indiana Jones moment.
Okay, so as you look at the busts, I will say that two of them do have what you know to be Scythian, like carved along the bottom. Now you can recognize the cuneiforms of it, and they all look to be, from what you can see, like the upper half of their bodies, wearing what look to be like expensive robes or other ornamentation. One has armor on that is definitely like the armor you would expect from like a high-ranking general, or as it has little badges as well and little medals. So you're definitely thinking these are meant to be figures that would resonate with somebody, most likely.
Yeah, I'll just kind of let the group know. I think it's just like mostly nobles and like fancy military people. I don't know, there are some nameplates, Valen. I don't know if you want to check out the nameplates. Well, you can still read this.
Yes, and I come like over to
So
read.
the general has a nameplate, and then there's one that's dressed more, looks to be a female Arden Scale, dressed in like elaborate like rich robes.
Okay, I guess I'll go up to the general first.
All right, so you're going up to the general first. You know that this one is to be is known. That says beneath it, General Naramsin.
Naramidi?
Naramides.
I'll go to the noble-looking woman next then.
As you look at this one, you know that this is Arcanophant Kishar.
That bitch. If I did not think it would set a trap, I would smash it.
Did you say that? Did you say that out? I mean, did you say either of the names out loud while you were reading the inscriptions?
Yeah, because I think I wouldn't. I would just be like, oh, here you go, everyone. This is what they say.
I mean, Flip's like standing right next to you, so he's probably like, what does it say?
So General, when you get to General Narmides, and we'll pause, we'll retcon that one. So you're standing in front and you say General Narmides' names, you hear a distinguished voice, like sort of same thing. For Valen, for you, it feels like it's someone talking right behind you. It is no surprise we achieved great victory on the fields of battle. Though I wear a number of medals, I will gladly add another to my accoutrement. The Ashahai could hardly prove a challenge for us outside of their frosty homes. It was choice of them to leave their frosty wastes behind and face us on the field of battle among the sands we call our own. I return soon to the great parade of victory and the choicest meat of satisfaction. And then after a moment, you're also just standing there like it ends. And I assume do you go and do the same to Arcanophant Kishar?
Yes.
This time you hear again a woman's voice, Arden Scale. I would like to take this moment to thank each of you who have recognized me, my fellow Arcanophants who have decided to raise me to this lofty position. It is rewarding to know that my many years of research and my arcane skills have led me to this vaunted company. I gladly accept this crown and this important moment of leadership. Just know that I will not fail you in this achievement, and that I will push the boundaries of what it means to be an Arcanophant. With my power and wisdom, I shall reforge the empire of Sipar into a kingdom that shines even brighter amongst the desert sands.
And she evil.
And it fades.
So does it seem like these are previous sacrifices that people left in the bowl? Do we have to somehow make some sort of emblem of victory, or do we need to like pick which one of these is going to open the door?
I believe we need to choose something from here.
Say as you're looking, you also see, like I said, there was the military, like they're basically medals as you've gotten closer. They match very similarly to the medals that the bust is wearing. You also see there's a couple of what look to be trophies of various kinds, like trophies and medals, and like a large, like less a individual small medal and more like very like the Medal of Honor, like a large victory.
If I take Valen over to where the medals and trophies are, can I find any that seem to be for more academic purposes rather than like you want to fight?
Yes. So if you take a moment to look through it, with Valen's ability to read, 2 of them are rewards for being like successful scholars. One is marking somebody as essentially being a philosophy laureate, so essentially a philosopher of high honor amongst the Arden Scales. The other is a reward for somebody like being top of class.
And as we're doing this, all of you can see, but especially Valen, Thorn is visibly upset. Like barely holding it in. Like you don't know if they're gonna cry or kill somebody upset.
What did the snake out front say again? Something you can swallow it or it'll swallow you.
It said, "What can be swallowed but also swallows you."
So I think the answer is pride, and these are all things that people are proud of, or moments that they're proud of.
Victories that they're proud of.
Yeah.
Ooh,
And
that makes sense.
I'm gonna pick up like the military medals and take them over to the statue of the general and see if anything happens when I set the medals like on the general. If they match the medals that are on him, I'm gonna like match them up where they're on the statue.
Yeah, so you take a moment and you pull the medals off and you go over to the generals and you try to match them up. They look to be different. They're military, they're the same thing. They're both military oriented, but there's not quite a direct match between them.
Is there any sort of magical reaction when I bring them close?
Not particularly, no.
Point of clarification, because I'm trying to picture this. So for each bust, is there like a thing set in front of it? Like there was like the pitcher or the like wine pitcher, the medals, the scroll. Is it all in front of a bust, or is it somewhere? Those things are somewhere else.
So it's like there's a bust, and then there's the notes across from it. There's another bust, and then another bust facing it. It feels a little bit more like each alcove just holds a particular, like every alcove holds one thing, essentially.
Calvin's
I
gonna
am
reach
between. Sorry.
into his coat pocket and pull out one of his just artificer trinkets
Mm-hmm.
and like fiddle with it for a little bit, make it look like a little tiny wind up pork roll,
Okay.
and then just put that into the jug.
So as you put it into the jug, your hand just sort of the side of your arm just sort of grazes the lip of the kylix, and as you do, even before you drop the little pork roll in, you see just a little like bit of liquid bubbles up, and it's this bright, like rich golden, very like molten gold if molten gold didn't turn hot. Bubbles up just this tiny bit and fills just the bottom of the kylix. And you drop in the little pork roll and it just sort of floats there.
Did something happen, Calvin? I can't see that high.
There's some stuff inside of it. It kind of looks like, molten gold, but it can't be because it's not giving off heat.
And real molten gold is red, not still golden.
It's a magical fantasy world. I'm sure Calvin has made molten gold before that is not red hot.
I mean, that's fair. You probably have.
Did it do anything special when you put in the whatever you just put in?
No. I mean, to be fair, like, I'm not, like, super attached to this. Like, I make them all the time.
Personally, I am between either pouring the wine in, which is obvious, but for that reason could be the answer, or this particular medal of note for philosophical and higher learning. It seems like something that a wizard would put as the answer.
Calvin's gonna reach into his actual pack and pull out the ruby that he uses to make Wawa out of, and put that in.
So as you go to reach in to put the ruby into it, is Calvin thinking about the fact that he made Wawa?
Yes.
How does Calvin feel about making Wawa?
So I imagine Wawa was like one of the first things I got to make at level 1.
Okay.
So probably kind of important and cool, and proof that he could do it.
So again, as you go to put it in, before you drop the actual ruby itself, as the side of your arm brushes against the kylix, this time you see more of that golden filling sort of bubble up, and this time it's definitely more than when you were going to drop in the little thing. And as you do, that feeling of accomplishment that you felt, that moment of having made Wawa for the very first time and accomplished like real artificing, that warmth fills you, and then as you see the liquid begin to rise, you feel it like dampen for a second. And then as the liquid hits, like stops filling, after a moment, you sort of feel it return.
Anything?
I mean, there's more of it, and it felt kind of weird. I kind of don't want to put pork roll in the basket. Twid, you should put some of your dolls in.
You did say you had a new project you were working on. Would that work?
I mean, Calvin shoots you this look like, girl, I just spent so much money on this fucking thing. It ain't going nowhere that isn't my hand.
So as you think that, I will say you turn to look at Thorn, and your hand wobbles a little bit, and you feel it tap the side of the Kylix again, and you feel that accomplishment of having just made your big you made your big creation, and then the same thing happens. That feeling mutes for a second, and as you you hear the sound of more of the liquid bubbling up inside of the Kylix.
Calvin's just gonna grab the rim of it and start thinking of all the cool things that he's made, and then top it off with looking at pork roll and getting anime heart eyes.
give me a wisdom check.
It's gonna suck all the happiness out of you.
A 10.
So you take a minute to look around, and you think of some of the projects you've made before. You look at pork roll, and you feel that warm sense of accomplishment sort of rush through you. Dare I say, pride. And as you do, the liquid in the vessel starts to slowly fill further and further to the top. And as you're sort of you're thinking about all these accomplishments, you feel that initial burst of warmth, and then it fades back down and fades back down and fades back down. And the vessel's now at this point probably about half full. And you sort of feel like you've ran through it feels almost draining sharing these emotions with it, and you feel like you kind of like run out of the emotional energy.
Your turn, Twid.
My turn to do what? All you've been doing is touching it.
So you're just gonna hold on to the bowl and think about things that you're proud of, like the dolls.
Okay. Twid reaches up and grabs it. Or just Twid's hands float up and grab it.
Yeah, you see your little hands float up, grab the side, and you can give me a wisdom check as well as you think about like the pride you feel at your dolls.
Yeah, does it need to be stated that Twid is thinking about their dolls?
I just assume that it's dolls.
5.
Right.
5. You start to think about it, and you feel that moment of pride as you're like, I made all these dolls. But then you get really distracted as you think about, well, I've made those dolls, but could I make them better? And what about the new dolls I'm working on? And you get down like a weird tangent of thinking about those things. And so for a minute, you feel that same flare as like that, the pride fills you, but then immediately like your creative like drive distracts you. I'll say you, Calvin, for you can see, you see a small bit like soup, and I'll say you see another like probably like 20% fills up, but you know there's still like a decent amount to get to the lip.
Did I do it? Is it fixed?
I mean, not really.
May I twiddle mop?
Yeah, I was gonna say if Thorn steps forward, you could also make a wisdom check and just let us know what would you be thinking about while touching the lip of this.
You did your best, Twid.
So I got a 17.
Okay.
And Thorn is thinking about the sort of duality of their existence of, on one hand, they have made their own way away from their people, protected Valen, gone on this whole journey, but they are still going on that very few Ashahai ever go on, because very few ever leave the mountains, other than for a military purpose. But on the other hand, carrying the legacy behind them of their clan and their people, many of whom died fighting the people whose statues are in this hall.
Which would be a weird feeling. So what did you get on your wisdom check?
17.
17. So you grab the sides of the Kylix and you think about the path you've tried to get here and the sacrifices you've made. And in particular, you think about that in juxtaposition to like how your civilization has really been defined for the last 700 years by the war with the Ardent Scale and like how far you've come. And almost that little bit of satisfaction you feel looking at all of these generals and knowing that like generals are Canophants, it didn't matter, like they still lost. And as you feel
They
that
are dead,
feeling,
and we are still here.
you feel that feeling of pride wash through you. You see the liquid and hits a point where, again, you feel that like it mutes, but then it bursts through, and as it fills the end of the very top, you can see the little rupee and the little carving are still floating at the top. As it hits the top, you see this golden glow to either side of where this Kylix is in the small platform. And after a moment, they fade away, and there's now doorways on either side that lead into the wall. And after a moment, you look down, and the Kylix is empty again. And at the bottom, the ruby and the little tiny figurine still sit.
Thorn will pull out the figurine and the ruby and hand them to Calvin.
Calvin
say,
will very
just a-
happily put them back in his bag.
One moment. And Thorn walks over to the statue of the Arcanophant. And I don't know if anyone's nearby, but whispers, "We won."
Okay. And you do so.
The bus just slowly turns towards you.
I will fight a statue.
Nothing happens as you whisper to the statue of the Arcanophant Kishar.
Well, that was interesting. Shall we try the next one?
Left or right, Calvin?
Oh, yeah.
Calvin's gonna like squat down in front of Pork Roll and then Rochambeau for it. But Pork Roll only makes kitten paws, so it kind of just takes a while as he only can do paper.
So after a moment where you don't do paper, or where you do paper as well, and then you're like, no, I got to do scissors to it. You eventually win rock, paper, scissors with Pork Roll, and you win.
Okay, we're going left.
All right, so you take the doorway to the left and you step through, and it's a simple stone doorway that's been revealed. As you step in, it takes you on a quick turn to the right, and you realize, looking through, that both doors seem to be leading into this alcove. So it basically, what opens up to look, weirdly enough and sort of shocking to you, is like a giant walk-in closet. And you see on either side of you, it's paneled in this dark wood, and it has that like fresh, fragrant smell of herbs. And there are rows of robes that sort of go along either side. And you can see that there's these rich golden robes, dark purple. Several of them have like a spattering of jewels across the front. And then you can see also that there's ones that are stark white and much more match what you saw Naramsin wearing. A little simpler, more plain. And then there is sort of like basically going down either side.
So we each get to
add
a Robe of the Arcanist to our character sheets.
Do I see any writing anywhere? Because I'm going to be like on the lookout to try to use up my spell.
If you want to use an investigation check for me, you can take a look around to see if you see any writing.
And is there... Sorry, I might have missed it. Is there another door, or is it just a walk-in closet with no way forward?
It's just a walk-in closet, no obvious way forward. I will say that the two rows of clothes run to the very end, and there looks to be like a crest that is that same serpent at the very end of like a blank wall. But the crest is like up high.
This is just the Tempest Coat room.
I got a 14.
14. So you look around for a minute, and actually, weirdly enough, as you're sort of scanning around, you notice that there's writing on the inside of one of the robes. Like one of the robes has like slipped off of its thing just a little bit, and you can see that there's writing sort of stitched into where the collar would be. And after, I was gonna say, I assume you read it.
Go over and like hold it up to read it.
Sorry, one sec.
I mean, it's a room of fashion, possibly questionable fashion, but Flip is interested.
Harsh. Sorry, one sec. Pulling up some of my notes.
No way. I mean, it's flowy fabric, so that's definitely a plus in Flip's column. But we'll see. We'll see if they attack us. If this is going to be another animated animated clothing situation.
You may wear me with import, but know that I am heavy.
Would Twid know anything about these robes with their weaving tools?
Give me like a weaving check with advantage with your intelligence as your modifier as you like look at if you like assess, basically appraise them. We'll call it like appraising.
$14.
The 14 is you look through them. I would say you look at some of the more expensive ones and you recognize that some of these fabrics are ones that you would note to be like very much like prone to ripping, tearing, falling apart. Like they're not going to stand up to a lot of rigor. And several, like two of the ones that are like these deep gold color with all of these like gems and stuff encrusted on them. And in particular, like, oh, those are super flammable. Like those are like within 5 foot of a fire will just like go up in smoke. But that some of the plainer ones you recognize as being like very heavy, like very high quality fabrics, like very well made, but like simpler, less expensive.
Twid is narrating this as they're walking through, looking at everything out loud.
Why am I picturing like an Edna Mode moment where you're just like, these garbage?
Nookings!
Because that's probably what Twid would do.
Hey,
I will.
we said we were a KD&D stream. I had to bring you fashion. Adventuring,
While
but make
gagging
it
search,
fashion.
you bring it to you every ball.
I will read out loud what the washing machine instructions inside said about that they're heavy.
And it's on one of the more expensive looking robes.
Can I make
many
an
of the
investigation
plain
check to
white
see if
robes are
any
there?
other robes have tags that say stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to make an investigation check for me, how many plain robes are there?
Yeah.
There's about 20 plain robes, and then the more expensive looking robes, there's about 60 of them, in all different like expensive colors and fabrics and everything like that. And the like less expensive looking robe, like the simpler robes, they're at the very back, like back right.
But like the expensive ones, there's like one or two that look the same. There's not like a whole like set of peacock blue robes.
No, it's like a couple of them are similar, but every one is its own style. It's very like couture feeling.
19.
19. You look through them. As you're looking through them all, there's inscriptions on almost all of them.
Twid is gonna mage hand one of the like simple sturdy ones. Are they on hangers? What are they on? Are they just
Hangers.
Twid is gonna mage hand one of the like simple sturdy ones, like plainer sturdy ones, off of a hanger and like bring it down towards right in front of them, like floating right in front of them for Twid to take a closer look.
I mean, is there anything particular you're looking for? Or are you just inspecting them?
Looking to see if I think it's gonna like set me on fire or anything if I put it on.
Okay, so give me an Arcana check.
Valen, would you mind taking a look at some of the plainer robes so we get a variety of instructions?
8.
Yeah, not a problem.
Twid got an 8 on their roll.
With an 8 on your roll, with the 8, you're not sure. You're like, it is nice fabric. Essentially, what you would know is, in order to enchant something, you usually have to use like quality materials to start. It looks like everything you've seen in this closet is quality material. Like any of these things would qualify for enchanting, essentially.
Twid is gonna put it on.
You slip the simpler robe on, and it's a little awkward on your shape. You definitely get the feeling like it wasn't made for a Stalcer with a Stalcerette in mind, but it goes on no problem. It's essentially like this wrap that goes around you, very toga-like, but it has like fringe that runs all along the front. That's in like a nice simple color, and you can see that as you're putting it on, just over where your heart would be, is a if you had a heart, that same symbol of the serpent.
Twitter's gonna run up and down the aisle going, "Look at me, I'm a wizard!"
And you have to like hike your robes up just a little bit to do it successfully, but yeah, you're able to.
They have a moment where they trip on it and just face plant, but then get back up and keep running.
I'm fine, Mom. It's okay.
Twid, go touch the far wall.
Okay. Twid will go touch the far wall.
As you touch the far wall, you see the little snake symbol above you starts to like move a little bit, and then stops after a moment.
Flip is gonna find one of the fancy robes with some like gems on it in probably like a purple bluish color. And
Okay.
if there's writing, ask Valen to interpret real quick.
It's the same inscription as you saw before.
Ah, okay.
And then-
yeah, I'm gonna put it on and walk up next to Twit.
Thorn's gonna
In
say,
this moment
Flip,
is-
wait.
Okay. I'll like half putting an arm in, like,
Valen, what do the plain robes say?
I'll go look at one of the plain robes.
It may
Okay,
be
so
a
you go-
trick.
If you look in one of the plain robes, at the back it says, "Clothe yourself in purpose, not importance."
Flip, as much as it is a good look for you, I do believe the plain robes are the way to go.
but this one's prettier.
Perhaps on the way out.
I can make you one that's just as pretty later.
Fine. And I'll like begrudgingly put it back and go find one of the less fancy ones.
Do we
You look
all have
pretty
to play
every
goddamn
one.
dress up?
So I think we all grab plain robes.
Okay. As all of you put them on, I will say that what you notice of interest is that for Valen and Thorn, the symbol of the serpent that's on the chest disappears after you put it on.
Good. But also, it
But
knows.
for the other three, the symbol of the serpent remains.
Maybe we won't be let through, Thorn.
Oh no, what a terrible thought.
And I assume after you're all wearing the more simple robes, you go and touch the wall.
Yes.
Yep.
So y'all go up and press your hands against the wall, and after a moment, you see the serpent. And as it hits a certain point on the wall, you hear and the same thing. You see this flash of light that spreads out, and there's suddenly a doorway in front of you, closed, but just a simple wooden doorway.
Check it for traps.
Roll to investigate.
$22.
22, you take a moment, you sort of look between the cracks and you look around the wall itself, and nothing jumps out at you as looking like a trap.
Pork roll's gonna open it.
So Porkroll pushes it open, and the door very smoothly swings open, revealing a like short hallway and another door at the very end of it. Probably it's a simple like 10-foot wide hallway. Probably about 20 feet down, there's another door.
Check that one for traps.
Go ahead, roll to check for traps.
$14.
So you check around the door. You do not detect any traps.
Pork Roll's gonna open it.
Pork Roll pushes this one open, and as he does, as the door opens, you hear this faint thrum of like harp music, and there's this like very dulcet, calming sound of music sort of wafting out from the doorway.
Is it the Zelda found treasure sound?
No, it's not like the dun 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 dun. It's more like Enya New Age, like very chill music.
Oh God. Why does everything in this tower make me want to kill something?
Valen is just spinning to the music. Very into this.
Valen's like, ooh, I feel this. This is really clearing my chakras.
I mean, we didn't get to dance at Marge's party.
What are you
That's
talking
true,
about,
the
Twiddlemop?
part-
Of course we did. We danced with those demons as we killed them. Or at least I did.
I don't think that was dancing.
You've never
It
danced
could
with an
have been.
Ashahai.
I grab both of your hands, Twid, and we like can spin together.
I assume you enter the next room. So stepping into the next room, it is very pretty. So everything is covered. So there's everywhere there's these thick fabric draperies sort of hanging down all on the outsides, and there is these alcoves into the walls that are also still covered in fabric, but there's this faint, very gauzy fabric sort of blocking the alcove from easy sight, and within you can see that it's filled with a bunch of pillows, and there is several bowls with these overflowing bowls full of fresh fruit. As you look from side to side, you can see that in each alcove, sort of against the wall, almost looking like they're like purposely leaning against the wall, are these beautiful, very lifelike sculptures of two of them seem to be ardent scale women. One is a human, and one looks to be a, weirdly enough, goblin woman, all female. And they're all sort of on the edge of what you consider to be like scantily clad. And each of them sort of carved to lean as though they're like draped across against the wall, sort of seductively. And you can hear the sound of the music playing faintly through. And at the far end, you can see that there is another of the vessels up against the wall.
Nobody touch anything. I have a bad feeling about everything.
So how is that different from like anywhere else we go?
I have a bad feeling that if one of us were to say partake of the fruit, that those statues may try to kill us.
Do we see any more writing in the room?
I will say, yeah, actually, you see that there is writing above each of the statues of the women.
I very carefully, like, keeping a distance from the statues, because I know Thorn will yell at me, tried to go read the writing above them.
All right. So as you get closer, you see that there is indeed carving along the top. And you're sort of, for a minute, you're like, that's really weird. Because as you're reading it, you would expect that it would translate with the spell that you cast. But it doesn't seem like it actually translates to anything. And then as you look down, you, for a second, sort of make eye contact with the statue. And I'm going to need you to make a wisdom saving throw for me, please.
That would be a natural 20 plus 6, so 26.
Ooh.
Thank
look
you.
at the statue.
Thank you, Velasta.
And you make direct eye contact with the statue, and for a second you feel this this attraction, this like electric kind of magnetic feeling as you're looking at the statue, and then after a second you go, wait a minute, what? It's really weird. And you look back at it and it's just plain stone. But looking back up at the writing, still you can't decipher the writing. There's something about it, like it's not, your comprehend language is not working on it.
I kind of turn around and give a shrug to the group, like, I can't read it. It's not working. And I know it's not been long enough. I think there's something weird with this room.
That is odd. If I walk over to the bowl, is there writing on the bowl?
Yeah, if you go over to the bowl itself and you look at the bowl, there is writing above it, and you can see it, but you can't read it.
Valen, what about this?
I go and try to read the bowl.
As you look over it, you hear just above it says, "The more of me you get, the more for me you thirst."
Oh, Flip is just gonna walk right up to the bowl and grab it and think about everyone he's ever been sexually attracted to, which is a lot, and see if it does anything.
Okay, so you think about everyone you've ever been sexually attracted to, which may or may not be a long list. We're not going to cast judgment on the size of the list. And you think about that.
But are any of them in the
feelings
room at the moment?
Feelings flow through you, and you look down at the vessel, and nothing's different.
Oh. I thought I had this figured out. Damn it.
What were you thinking of, Flip?
Sex.
And as you look down, you can see that there's writing at the bottom of the bowl.
Valid? Can you still?
Well, let me see. And I like lean over to look.
And at the bottom it says, "Sometimes I'm all the sweeter for not being tasted."
So why? And Calvin's like trying to think of the word. It's not about sex. It's a school. Like, why would it be about sex?
I mean, look around the room.
And Calvin's gonna
You put
I-
only women.
I understand. Each of these rooms has been a sin. This is Joey, not Calvin. This is Joey, not Thorn talking. The first one was pride. The next one was not humility, but the opposite of humility. But it was a lesson. Like, what's the opposite?
Or greed.
Or greed. This one's lust. The
Calvin's
more of
gonna
me
grab
have,
the
the more of
bowl
me you,
and think
the more
about,
you
like,
thirst for me, but sweeter for not being tasted.
It's knowledge. It's the serpent chases his tail in his pursuit of knowledge. And then there's forbidden knowledge, like, necromancy spells and whatever Twit does.
Or like ignorance is bliss. So all the sweeter for not even tasting.
What do you mean, whatever
Um,
Twid does?
Calvin's gonna ignore the question and just grab the bowl and start thinking of, like, things he's learned in school.
You hold the bowl and you think of sort of important, valuable life lessons you've had. And you think for a couple minutes, and you don't feel that same draining effect you felt before.
May I, Calvin? Thorn is going to hold it and think of everything they wish they'd never learned. Like,
And I will say, you think that again, sort of everything that you never wish you, nothing. You don't feel any of that like draining effect you felt before.
Damn it, we have to really think now.
Thorn hasn't let go of the bowl and not saying anything. Thorn is going to think of Valen.
You think for a minute, nothing. all
of,
the
like,
feelings you feel
those
are
feelings
still the
that they're
same.
not going to talk about and not do anything on because they have a job.
Yeah, nope. Nothing happens.
None of you know what Thorn was thinking.
Or does
But we all know
Twid?
now. We all know.
It was the more of me you have, the more for me you thirst.
Rough translation.
And then at the bottom was
Basically,
sometimes
so
I'm
like
sweeter for not having...
translating from sometimes I'm sweeter for not having tasted me. It says so more or less the more of you have, the more for me you thirst. It's the more of me you have, the more of me you crave. Would probably be a better translation. And then at the bottom it does say, sometimes I'm all the sweeter for having not been tasted.
I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that I couldn't read the writing. Like, I don't know. Like something like because you couldn't read the writing, you go like you need more, you need to learn more things because like you can't do something. I don't know.
Twid is going to walk up and put their hands on it and think of their dolls.
A minute passes and nothing changes.
Hey, Twid, you can, like, move things without touching them, right?
If they're not too heavy.
So, like, were there bowls of fruit when we entered? Or, sorry, I seem to remember.
So there's each alcove, and each alcove is full of all these, like, luxurious pillows, and there's a bowl of fruit sitting just below each statue.
Twid,
And it's
do you
like
think...
overflowing with like fresh fruit.
Twid, do you think you can get some of that fruit from underneath the statues into the bowl without, any of us getting too close to the statues?
I think so. I can do it from about 30 feet away.
I mean, I'm just...
grab the fruit and like put it in.
Oh. Sorry,
So
yeah, go ahead.
Porkroll approaches the alcove and goes to push back the curtain. And as they do, their hand just almost like scraping across stone as it scrapes the curtain.
Twid will mage hand inside the curtain and try and pick up one of the fruit things.
All right, so you get closer and you look into the curtain, and as you look up, you make eye contact with the carving of the Goblin Woman, we'll say, on this one, because that was the one that was closest on the left to the bowl. Give me a wisdom saving throw.
Is it for being charmed?
It is for being charmed.
Okay, so I have advantage then. Same roll both times. 9. I am not rolling well tonight.
So you look at the Goblin Woman, and it was stone previously, but as you watch, it pushes away from the wall, and you can see like the color sort of flows across the stone until it's a fully fleshed out figure, and it reaches down and plucks up like an orange and holds it out to you. And is like, you've come so far. You must be hungry. Please, share my bounty with me. And you feel compelled to do so.
Don't do it, Twid! Bring it over here, Twid!
Twid is...
Twid!
No one hears or sees anything. Looking at it, you still just see the alcove looks exactly the same.
Do we
See Twid though walking like towards it? I'm assuming.
Well, I mean, you haven't seen Twid hasn't done anything yet. That Twid's just heard it and felt the compulsion is overwhelming. Like you haven't watched anything this bad since like the last time you made a new doll.
Twid is going to start walking forward, but in typical Twid fashion is going to be narrating out loud.
Well, I don't really like fruit and don't really need it very often, but I do really want it right now.
What role do I need to make to linebacker tackle Twid?
And Twid
Give
is walking
me
forward.
athletics checks to grapple Twid.
I've been wanting to do this for a long time. No.
What did you roll?
4 minus 1.
And then, Quid, would you please also roll your either athletics or acrobatics, whichever is higher?
It'll
Wait,
be
could I roll acrobatics?
No, athletics for you.
Ugh, gross.
12.
12. So you see Thorn go rushing forward and like dive to catch Twid, and at the last second, Twid just sort of like scrunches down to the ground, and so you see Thorn sort of fly over Twid and like looking down like, what the hell? As you fly over Twid. Twid, you slide across the ground and you hit that like the curtain, and you slide through the curtain and just reach up to grab that piece of fruit.
Is there any chance to stop him or stop them, or is it like too late now?
Do you like charge into the alcove?
I was gonna try to cast Hold Person to just keep him
You know what?
paralyzed.
I'll allow it. I'll allow Hold Person.
So you got to make a Wisdom save, Twid, and please roll poorly like you have been.
Roll bad.
Okay. Oh, 6. I can't roll well at all tonight.
6 is your wisdom save total.
That was the total, was 6 is what I got.
Yeah. So as you see Twid pull down this orange and is just about to like shove it into their face, and as that happens, you cast the spell and you see Twid freeze, holding this orange.
I'm just like holding my hand out. I'm like, okay, I got them.
Thorn, having
We need to
landed,
put them back.
walks over and just picks Twid up.
Please give me a wisdom saving throw. I will give you advantage.
Me?
You advantage.
You got to resist the sexy goblin lady.
But I'm not looking at her.
You have, as you enter the alcove to get Twid, I will say you have to make this save. I'm giving you advantage though, as you have previously stated.
19.
19. So you look up and you see the same thing. The goblin's skin starts to flow with color and goes to reach down to pick up a piece of fruit, and you're immediately like not interested and just like pick up Twid and
Not
start to
my
carry
type,
Twid
lady.
out of. And you
He's
step
like
out
under
of
my
the
arm like he's a
alcove.
toddler.
Yeah. And so you step out of the alcove holding Twid, who's still like frozen in this weird position of having like slid across the floor but picked up this orange. And you now have Twid and the orange in your arm.
Well, we have some
Luckily
fruit
for
now.
you, they're very light. I mean, this party has more than some fruit.
True, I
So
also
as you
have a
exit-
banana from earlier.
Holding Twid, you sort of walk back, and I will say that's a perfect point for us to take our breather. So we're gonna take a quick bathroom break and stretch break for everybody. So feel free if you all want to refill your drinks or anything like that. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. If you're enjoying the stream, we will always really appreciate it if you can give us a follow so you'll know about future upcoming projects we have. In particular, in the works right now, we have a plan to run the playtest adventure of the new Dragon Prince role-playing game. So you can get an opportunity to see us all be Dragon Prince characters and learn a new system and get to know a little bit about it. If you're interested, it's being run by Fandom, and it's called Tales of Zadia. You should definitely give it a check, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for bearing with us for our break. We rejoin our adventuring party. Deep within the Athenaeum of Naramsin, an ancient school of magic once used by the Ardent Scale, a reptilian species that used to call this region of the world home. It has been abandoned, though, for the last 600 years, and our party now delves into the deeps of the school on a challenge to prove that they are an arcanist worthy of receiving the experience and wisdom of Naramsin himself. They have faced several chambers so far, and in particular find themselves in one adorned with opulent bedding, extravagant food, in particular fresh, beautiful fruit. Each bowl of perched just below a statue of a beautifully and elegantly carved woman of various races. They have seen their friend Twid tempted by one of these figures and tried to pick up a piece of fruit, but luckily was stopped by the combination of Valen's magic and Thorn's muscles. And so now we return to the party, Twid, frozen, orange almost to his mouth, or almost to their mouth, and in Thorn's arms, being pulled out of one of the alcoves. As we return, what would you like to do?
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Old person says, creature can't move or speak. Could Twid still speak using their ability?
I would say yes, because that is an action you can take mentally.
Thorn is going to hear in their head as they're carrying Twid out, the deep mental speak voice going, "Let me go. I have to eat this fruit.
Get out of my head, Twiddlemop.
Let me go."
Appropriately,
still
Thorn is
feel the
carrying you
compulsion?
like a child they're throwing a tantrum like you are right now.
And I will say so far I'm gonna say we're 2 rounds in. How many rounds does your hold person last?
Up to 1 minute.
Up to 1 minute? Okay. So you just be aware that like time is burning on this hold person.
Thorn's still
Somebody
holding
better grab
Twiddlemop.
that orange.
Take the orange.
That's my orange.
And so easily enough, one of you plucks the orange from out of Twid's hand.
Thorn is just going to hear in the back of their head, "Lucretia, get the orange!"
Remind me why it is wrong to drop kick your companions.
It's not his fault. There's some weird magic going on in this room. He's been charmed.
You
He'll
did
get
not
over
answer
it.
my question, Valen.
They.
Why is it wrong to drop
Hey.
kick them?
Because it's not their fault. I definitely like. It's a question at the end. I'm like, it's not their fault.
It'll be my fault when you get between me and this orange.
What would you like? You now have the orange, and you can hear the psychic threats of Twid sort of reverberating in your heads. What would you like to do now?
I'm not putting him down. Them down.
Put the orange in the bowl. That was
I
the
don't
whole
have the
point.
orange.
Flip grabbed the
has
orange
Towel.
out of Twid's hand and puts it in the bowl.
So you drop it into the bowl, and it like plumps into the bowl. And after a moment, you see it disappear. And as it does, the script above changes, and it just says, "It is not unwise to look, but it is unwise to taste." And then after a moment, that writing fades as well, and a passageway like of the wall snaps open and swings open, revealing another passageway that leads further in.
Twid, are you back with us now?
Is Twid back with us now?
Twid is back with you. Twid is back to their normal selves.
Ah, phew.
But they're still held. So.
Yes.
I'm still holding person.
Valen's gonna hear in their head now.
I'm feeling a lot better now, Valen. You can let me go.
Very wise not to say that to Thorn. Thorn wanted to hold you longer.
Are
Did
you
you feel peaceful like this?
are you sure, Twid? You feel fine now, right? You're not gonna try to hurt anyone for an orange?
I have no bodily cravings for an orange at this moment.
I will drop the whole person then.
And you no longer feel the compulsion to eat the orange that is now gone.
Twit is just gonna like flop in Thorn's arms.
Hold me.
And then lean up and go, "Hi, Thorn. Thanks for carrying me."
Thorn drops you. Just like, ah! Oh, you're fine.
Gross.
Jesus, gross.
What is that, a gremlin?
Twid will look into their bag and go, "A lot of help you all were."
Tweedlemop, why are you sticky?
And as you say, like, a lot of help you were, you hear in the back of your mind, you feel that same presence you felt many times before. Why would I get in the way of that? That was delightful. You should have eaten the fruit. You should go get some more.
I don't think Thorn would like that very much.
I suppose that's true. Just wait until they're not looking. Later, on the way out.
I will take that into consideration.
Tweedlemop, I changed my mind. Do not answer my question.
And so now the doorway is open, and you can see as you look to the alcoves, what the previous like sheer fabric has like turned opaque, and is now not see through anymore.
Well, we passed the third test, everyone.
Barely on that one. Lead the way, Calvin.
It wasn't that bad. It was probably only mildly poisoned.
How much time has
Continue
probably passed by this
on.
point?
At this point, with how long you spent in the room in the previous two rooms, you've probably hit about an hour now.
We're on our own now. I can't read things anymore.
Can
Do
you
we
not
have
cast it
time
again?
No, I only can use it once per long rest. This fey magic
have
takes a
time?
lot out of me.
Calvin's like sitting there holding his book. I can if you wait, like I could do it too. But like not fast.
I also have this scroll of comprehend languages I got when we were back at Nettle's place.
I feel like everybody just looks at Twin and gives him the like, why didn't you mention this earlier?
Well, Valen was so happy to use their ability, so I figured I would save it. I actually have two.
I've been thinking about the fact that the party has two comprehend scrolls this entire time.
Twid
number of times
Twid never showed them to
you-
me.
There was that time when you were still in Naoko's house where you didn't know any of the writing and you never used them. There was the times with the others, like I was just like, every time I was like, they have them. They have them. But continuing. Would you like to use one of your scrolls?
Not yet, since we don't have any new writing, I don't think, right?
No, you haven't seen any writing yet, no.
Okay, not yet then.
Flip will also give you a re-up on enhanceability.
Continue down the hallway.
You continue down the hallway, and this one's different. So the other ones have all been sort of like more carefully, and they feel more like carefully designed and structural. This one feels natural. So as you step through, the walls here are irregular and uneven. The floor has like a loose pebble that's rolling all across it. So like when you step into it, it's that crunchy like gravel that you can kind of like wend through, and you're following this tunnel for probably about 15 minutes or so of just like walking straight forward. The only light source being whatever any of you have on you. This tunnel is not lit. So I assume somebody like casts a light spell of some sort.
I'll cast light.
Yeah. So that's basically it's all you have is the Valen's light sort of casting off the darkness. Those of you with dark vision still obviously can comfortably see up to 60 feet. This tunnel sort of weaves and wends back into the rock further until eventually you come to a open like archway. This one plain, no ornamentation. Looking into it, you can see that there is this room is tiled all across again in these like faint light blues and purples. And at the center is this large pedestal. And on this top of this pedestal, sort of floating there, is this crystalline image of a snowflake.
Boot.
Everyone, get your old
Don't
character
like it.
sheets.
I cast Fireball.
And it's about 80, the room you think is about 80 feet across, square. So from the center, about 40 feet to any of the walls. And the like large floating snowflake you see is about this big. And it has this like silvery shimmer of arcane energy as it sort of floats, and it's slowly turning as you watch over this large pedestal.
Is there anything else in the room?
As you look around, no, the walls are fairly plain. I will say that you see on each wall, each corner, there's this large pillar, and there seems to be this like recess in the pillar, but they look to be empty.
If I get closer to the snowflake, can I see any writing or any symbols?
Yeah, so as you look closer and you look down at on the pedestal, you can see that there is carving on the pedestal in a circle just underneath the snowflake.
Does it look like the art and scale language, or does it look more like runes?
It looks to be like the art and scale language. It's the cuneiforms that you've seen before. You know that those can still be invested with magic, just like anything else, but they're a little bit more like distinct.
Perhaps would be a good time for one of those scrolls to them up.
Okay. I can do it, or I can use it.
And Twid will cast Comprehend Languages.
Twig, you are now able to comprehend languages. As you look at the pedestal, you can see that there is, like I said, the circle of language. It simply it translates to, a wizard's plans must be clear even when danger is near. Frost and cold can spell your end, but careful casting can be your friend.
What was the second half again after near?
Frost and cold.
Frost and cold can spell your end, but careful casting can be your friend.
Does anyone have absorb elements?
No.
Twid will read this out.
Do,
I mean, Twid probably read this all out loud just in general, because that's what Twid does.
so do we think I need to cast Absorb Elements cold or Absorb Elements hot?
Also, what danger is it talking about?
I assume the snowflake. Think about it this way. To a race of lizard people, what is the potential greatest enemy in a situation like this?
You?
Also, you'd be aware the ancestral enemy of the Ashahai are the Ashahai.
Reptile. Are the Ardent Scales cold-blooded?
They're reptilian, yes.
From my experience, the Ardent Scales become sluggish and potentially even die if exposed to the cold too long. It is part of the reason that, as the general suggested, we kept the fighting on our turf.
Are we supposed to, like, bring the snowflake over to the column? Does it look like the snowflake could fit into the, like, slot in the column?
Like, they're basically large circular alcoves that are big enough that you could probably fit the whole snowflake into one of them, yes.
Is there any writing over by the alcoves?
You go over to them?
Yes.
To pass this chamber, yeah. So I'll say for you, to pass this chamber, you must know the key, and it's repeated on each of them.
Can you say the column riddle again?
I can. A wizard's plan must be clear, even when danger is near. Frost and cold can spell your end, but careful casting can be your friend.
And on the columns, it said, to pass this room, you must know the key.
You must know the key.
I have a dumb idea. I'm gonna grab it.
The snowflake?
Like, now, this is Thorn saying and not doing it.
Okay.
The cold does not bother me as much as it would most people.
Because the cold never bothered you
No,
anyway.
say it right.
I was trying not to say it.
Right.
I have no problem with that. Thumbs up from Twid.
Yeah, you're
All right,
probably the best
so-
at the job.
Thorn is gonna
All of
grab
these-
it by both like on both ends.
Yeah, so you reach up and you grab the snowflake. As you do, you hear a and it shatters in your hand. So you're still holding like a piece of it, but like your hand like kind of falls inward, and the pieces of it go each like pops out of existence. And as you turn to look, you see in each of the alcoves a part of it reappears, glowing with that same like silvery light. And then a second later, you hear this rush of wind, and suddenly the entire chamber fills with a maelstrom blizzard, so that you can no longer see the far walls. And you are just, it is whiteout snow blizzard blasting into all of you.
You were too strong, Thorn.
Did any doors open?
You can't see any of the walls. You can barely faintly see the glow, the silver glow of each of them in the corners. And this maelstrom's beginning to kick up. And you feel the temperature dive.
Calvin's gonna shoot a firebolt at one of the alcoves.
Yeah, so you cast Firebolt, and it flies into the alcove, hits the silver light, and you see the light like shimmer for a second, almost like you figure like it's probably like wavering from the. It just continues to glow after a moment and settles back into normal. And I was like, as this cold and the wind starts to blow, I need everyone to make a quick Constitution saving throw for me. As the cold settles in,
I have resistance to cold damage, so does that equate to
it does not equate to advantage on this save.
gross?
Flip got a 17.
Okay.
12.
15 for Twid.
18.
18. So the only two that feel anything is Calvin and Valen. You both feel the cold start to set in, and you feel that like your fingers start to go numb, and you're realizing that you're not really dressed at all for like winter appropriate gear, since it's like springtime in Retenia right now. And you take you take 2 points of cold damage. Those of you who made the save do not take any damage. As the snow starts to swirl around you more intensely, and you kind of have that moment of like having to blink it out of your eyes.
I'm sorry, what was the save? I forgot to roll for pork roll. I assume he also.
Pork roll's fine. Pork roll's fine.
Yeah.
Pork roll's a metallic construct. I'm not gonna make them make a Constitution saving throw yet. What would you like to do?
Calvin, were you gonna cast something?
I mean, I just tried to cast Firebolt and it didn't really do much.
Will absorb elements do anything? I
I'll
think the
cast
only way out of
Absorb
this is
elements.
Who are you casting absorb elements on?
It's only a range of self.
Okay, so you cast it for cold.
Yes.
You cast the spell and you feel it settle over you, and as you do, you are now able to absorb cold energy. Anyone else doing anything while Calvin's casting the spell?
I feel like I just want to go over to one of the alcoves and like punch the snowflake again.
Okay. So you rush over to the alcove, and as you're starting to rush over there, you look down, you realize the snow is starting to pile up. It hasn't totally piled up yet, but it's starting to grow a little bit thicker. It's definitely that crunch where your boots are settling into it a little bit. You rush over, and I'll say if you use a double move, you get to the alcove, and that would be like the end of this round. Is anyone else doing anything?
Oh, I don't think there's a lot I can do.
how many alcoves were there? So
4.
how many Okay.
There's 4
So there's-
pieces.
Okay.
Twid will start moving towards the alcoves as well, I guess.
Okay, are you going to a different one than Thorn or the same one?
The next one over.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess I'll move to 1 too. Yeah. I'll move
And
to 1.
what about you, Flip?
Yeah, moving towards an alcove, I think, at this point.
So each of you rush off to one of the alcoves. Same thing as you're crunching through the snow and looking down. You realize it's starting to get heavier and thicker. I will say that at the end of that, I need everyone to make a Constitution saving throw again. As you now being able to move, you can get there.
16.
If anyone has 40 feet of movement, they could make it there in a single move. Otherwise, you'd have to use your move and your action.
6.
6,
17.
17.
Oh,
Natural
question.
1.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever snapped Selwyn out of existence, so does Selwyn need to make a Constitution saving throw on my shoulder too?
If they're on your shoulder, they would, yes.
Oh, my poor friend.
Flip got 15.
You have a bonus action while you're running, so if you would like to snap Selwyn out of existence, I will say you can.
Yes. So Twid will snap Selwyn away.
I will give you that one because I don't feel like I need to murder all of your familiars because you're behaving yourself and not using your familiar in a way that makes me mad. I'm sorry. Anybody? So the only low ones I heard were Valen, correct?
And
Natural
Calvin.
1.
Valen and Calvin. Okay, everyone else got
Again.
higher than 15. Okay,
I
cool.
made a 15.
You made a 15. Yeah, that's 15 or higher. All right, cool. So then Calvin and Valen, you would both take 1 point of cold damage. I know, Calvin, you have absorb elements. I assume you just eat that damage.
Well, I just take half, so I take 1.
I'll say if it's 1 just reduced to half, you take. I'll say it's nothing. It reduces down.
Grab an ice shard and try to get it back in the middle. Who has mending?
I'll say as you grab it and you pull it down, you can see that where previously it had that other statement. Now you can see. Now that you're in peril, know that you must identify the path forward.
Who has identify?
Does
Not
Twig
me.
say the sentence out loud so that I can hear it?
Yeah, if Twid sees it, they'll say that out loud.
Calvin cast Identify.
Do you have it prepared as a normal spell?
I do.
What are you casting Identify on?
The path forward. So I assume that there's either a path in the snow or.
Give me an investigation check.
With advantage.
With advantage.
21.
I will say, as you look around, you don't see anything like a path in the forest, but as you look down into the pedestal, you can see that the surface of the pedestal, as a little bit of the snow has started to fall on it, has a clear indentation of where a snowflake would sit.
I cast identify on snowflake place.
You can't identify, and the pedestal does indeed identify to you as magical. It looks to be some form of transient magic and abjuration magic that's been cast on it, essentially to make it resistant to the damage of the elements. The ability to summon intense cold, but you realize that the spell is activated and that it needs the snowflake to deactivate.
Calvin will
Squid
scream
will
out
grab
that
the
snowflake
shard
needs
that's
to
in
come
front
back
of them.
from it.
All right, and so now as you're grab the shard, which will take your action takes bonuses to interact with an object. I will say that to return, you realize that the snow has gotten thick enough that it's difficult terrain, so everyone would be moving at half speed.
For a
Mhm.
point of order, identify even if I have it prepared takes a whole minute.
Oh, even if it's prepared, it takes a whole minute to cast. Well, then I lied. You don't know any of those things.
Yeah.
I mean, we were already talking about bringing the snowflake back to the center before we found that out.
Yeah. So you all rush back towards the center with the snowflake, I assume.
Yeah. Question. We talked about it in the past, but it's not like officially in the Asha High. Because Thorn is used to this kind of terrain, especially like being a scout in this kind of terrain, are they affected by like heavy snow in this way?
Yes.
Okay.
You're still affected by heavy snow in this way. You would, if you were home in the mountains, there's equipment that you have that help you to negate it. And there's spellcasters that can cast spells that allow you to like walk on the snow without, but in normal instances, the snow still affects you as any other like
Okay, just
physical
checking.
being.
Is
Yeah, no worries.
Is the snow getting deep for anybody else?
At this point, it's very deep for Twit. It's like hip deep, and you're sort of like, and you can feel it sliding inside in some places of your like body that you've made, and like you can feel a couple of snowflakes, like that weird icy sensation of the snow sliding over like the creation energy that powers you. It is 100% like snow down the back of your shirt, but the back of your soul.
I don't like
Doesn't have one of
this.
those either.
And that everyone can give me one more round of Constitution saving throws.
Finally,
Natural
19.
20.
9.
13.
12.
Anyone who got lower than that 13 takes 3 points of cold damage. Reduced to 1 if you have resistance.
So
And
with
the
the
snow
13, I
starts to-
can...
The 13 you take the damage. Oh no, sorry, 13 you save. 13 you save. It's the 12 and the 11 that don't. So you both take the 3 points of cold damage. And you can feel it start, like I said, starting to pile up more. You see the rest of those like kind of rush out of the obscuring of the snow, each holding part of the snowflake as you're starting to cast the spell Identify. And I will say, because you took damage, you need to give me a concentration saving throw. With advantage. I will give you advantage as a result of the enhanced ability in this instance. Canonically, it wouldn't make a difference because it doesn't affect saving throws, but I'm going to say the extra intellect is like helping you focus.
I mean, it's a con save, right?
Yeah,
So with advantage.
with advantage. I'm being kind and saying the extra intellect is going to help you out in this instance, since it is a wizardly challenge.
22.
With 22, you save. Like the cold is starting to bother you as you're casting the spell, but you manage to like push it to the side, and you're like, okay, I gotta focus in. And the rest of you, I assume, use your next action to rush to the pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
C.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, so you make it to the pedestal, and I assume each of you push the pieces of the crystal back, the snowflake back in.
Yep.
Yep. So sure enough, the snowflake presses back together, and you can see that the silver light sort of shines through it as it reseals together. And after a moment, nothing happens, and you realize there's still a section right in the very center that isn't lit up. Like it's fully back together and still glowing, but there's a very center of it that's still not lit.
Perception
Is-
check. Do we see a little lit up snowflake piece somewhere?
Yeah, if you give me a perception check, you can take a look around.
Natural 20 for a 24 on perception.
Next time you look around, no, there's no glow or anything anywhere else you can see. It fits smoothly into the pedestal, and as Calvin's casting, I will say with a natural 20, as Calvin is sort of uttering some of the arcane words, you see a little flicker of silver light in the very center that as Calvin like takes a breath to continue the ritual, fades out for a second, and then sort of thumbs back into place as Calvin continues to cast.
I think it likes you casting. Just keep casting. And I'm also gonna cast prestidigitation on the center of the snowflake, just to make a little swirly wind around it.
Swirly wind catches some of the, and I'll say as you continue to cast, Calvin, that next round that we get to it as you're finishing it, as everything seals together, the snow continues to buffet around you, but in the small dome right around the pedestal, it warms back up, and the snow seems to like hit what looks to be like a wave of force in the air around you, and the pedestal itself is no longer being bombarded. As the small gem at the center starts to slowly gain more like luminescence. I assume you continue to cast the spell?
Yes.
As you continue to cast the spell, the storm around you continues to rage, and you can sort of feel the pressure of it as the snow intensifies, and you can see that sort of right outside this little 5-foot like clearance around the pedestal, the snow starts to stack up and stack up and stack up until the point where you realize, like for Twid, if you walked out into the snow now, you'd probably just see the top of Twid's head, like passing through the snow, making little pathways, and then for the rest of you, it would be about hip deep. And you continue, and I would say, give me another concentration check. As you focus on the spell, you feel this stab of cold in your mind, like something's pushing back against the spell.
17.
17. All right, so you feel that, and you feel a little like that ice pick of cold in your mind, but you keep focusing. And at the very end, you basically end the last of the arcane gestures for Identify, and as you cast the spell, Identify fills you with the information I told you previously, and then in particular lets you know that in order for the snowflake to work, the Identify spell has to be cast on it to trigger the glyph inside the spell, and that's what finishes the circuit of the magic. And as you cast that Identify, you learn all that. It hums to light with that silver light, and suddenly the snowstorm ends and just settles back down, and you're looking at it like this field of snow about hip deep. And in particular, you notice that in the far wall where you were going, there is now just a door. No flash of light, nothing else. Just when the snow clears, you can see the doorway.
Well, Twid, do you have a way to get over there? I think that's our way out.
It reminds me of home.
Which way is it? I can't see.
I like pick Twid up and put you on my shoulders.
Twid is gonna hop down, face towards where the door was, and then Eldritch Blast in that direction with Lucretia.
Sure enough, you take out Lucretia the doll, hold up your hand, and cast Eldritch Blast. As you do, there's just this scything blast of eldritch energy, and as it splashes against the far door, you see snow just go flying, and you hear the like hiss of water hitting like a frying pan, and there's just this perfect cylindrical cutout of Eldritch Blast, and then the snow that's sort of like at the very top just sort of like falls down into it, and there is indeed a pathway that leads right through.
I found a path.
Yes,
Good
you
job,
did put
Twid.
them up.
And I will say at that point, since it is 9:45, that is where we're going to end for the night, with the party having faced several of the challenges of Naramsin and his Athenaeum, and now ready to delve deeper to figure out what's happening next. For those of you who joined us, thank you very much for joining us tonight. If you enjoyed, we definitely ask if you could give us a follow. That really just helps us out figure out who's interested. And also we'll let you know as we schedule future sessions. We're going to continue to do 7:30 on Sundays as our normal time for starting just a little bit. But we're also doing some new projects. In particular, we're going to start playing some other games. We're hoping to do in the next 2 weeks a playtest of the Tales of Zadia, which is a role-playing game using Cortex set in the world of Dragon Prince. So if you love adventures, you love dragons, you love magic, you love friendship, then definitely join us for that. And keep your eyes open because we'll be sending out more details about when we're going to be running it.
I did
And
not
as
agree
usual,
to friendship.
thank you everyone for joining us and stay safe out there.